How's it going, everybody? Welcome to my ranking of the films that I saw in April 2019. There were plenty of films that I wanted to see this month, and with me trying to run through all of the MCU films before Endgame, it was kind of hard to find all the time to watch all these movies from time to time, but I ultimately made it work to where I was able to watch enough movies to where I felt like I covered enough of what April had to offer. The two films that I most regret not seeing were High Life and Little Woods. Other than that, I watched pretty much most of what I wanted to see. And out of the films that I did watch, this is my ranking of all the films from worst to best. So hope you enjoy the list, and thank you for watching. Back in 2013, James Wan reignited the haunted house type of horror flick with his film The Conjuring. Since then, though, his franchises, in the words of a wise Jedi, became the very thing it swore to destroy. The Curse of La Llorona speaks to everything that is wrong about modern horror, and I couldn't have been more let down by how closely it played to tropes. It's an even bigger shame that Linda Cardellini gave a great performance, ultimately wasting her talent on something meaningless and devoid of any impact. On one hand, I really appreciate when filmmakers are ambitious enough to tackle tough subjects in children's films, especially when animation is involved. It's honorable that the team behind Oko's Inn was even willing to explore something as depressing as a preteen girl dealing with the sudden death of her parents. That being said, I otherwise found this to be an awkwardly paced and tonally scrambled mess. While it may work on some people, the delicate balance between catering to both adults and kids just isn't here, in my opinion. There are certainly many aspects of Pet Sematary that I admire, namely in that some of the directions its story takes are quite surprising and bold. The performances are also quite good in general, with John Lithgow standing out in particular. In my outlook, though, a movie's effectiveness is dependent as to how it comes together as a sum of its parts. From that perspective, this film falls flat given its weak scares, terrible characters, and a production that simply felt cheap to me. Brie Larson's involvement in the MCU has been quite controversial this year, and it's a shame that such conversations surrounding the young, talented actress have taken attention away from her directorial debut, Unicorn Store, on Netflix. Not that the film is particularly good, but its wackiness, sincerity, and sheer boldness at times are enough reasons for one to give it a chance. Who knows, other millennials than myself may get more out of this applicable fairy tale than I did. Unlike Unplanned, with set back pro-life and pro-choice relations 15 years, Breakthrough is surprising in that it's a cheesy, predictable faith film with considerable amounts of nuance, character depth, and useful insights otherwise. While some scenes could have been trimmed down for the sake of brevity, I was surprised by how much I was actually invested in this one. This level of storytelling, honesty, and technical skill is rare in Christian films, and may ultimately work on those inside or outside of a faith-filled lifestyle. I was a little annoyed that social media sites and Rotten Tomatoes tried to make Shazam out to be some kind of revolutionary game changer for superhero movies, for it's not enough for a film to be loose and meta to trounce storytelling issues. That being said, David F. Sandberg should be praised for taking hypothetically ridiculous material and making it just goofy enough to make it work, which certainly wouldn't have come together without the help of Zachary Levi, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Mark Strong. Unironically the best DCEU movie yet, I'm curious as to what they'll do with this character next. No film that Laika planned to have follow Kubo and the Two Strings could have ever had a chance of beating it. Sadly, such was the case for Missing Link to the point that it never even captured the attention of audiences at the box office. It saddens me because even though this film may be one of their weaker entries, they deserve support for their consistency in delivering gorgeously animated, fun, and meaningful entertainment. Something that can't be said about all American animation studios. This movie deserves love, both because of its own merits and to make sure that Laika doesn't suffer the same fate as Studio Ghibli. Concert films have never been my favorite kind of documentary, and Amazing Grace didn't change that for me. But what it did accomplish was transporting me back to 1972, as Aretha Franklin did live recordings for what would eventually become the highest-selling gospel album of all time. With stunning cinematography and filmmaking authenticity, this film should be seen for a number of reasons. Honoring Franklin's legacy, enjoying some spectacular music performed live, and witnessing what film can do to immerse one in a world entirely different from their own. I've encountered weird anime numerous times in the past, but Penguin Highway ranks high among those that are particularly risky and strange. That's no knock against the film though, for the unique story told here earns its salt with strong character work and a compelling sci-fi mystery. All the while it features some breathtaking cell animation envisioned by cinematic shot composition, capping off a fascinating, emotional storyline with great visuals. While many will skip this over simply because it's anime, the influences from Steven Spielberg, Stranger Things, and Stephen King might and should convince others to give this a shot. The runner-up for this month was a film that I was unsure about the degree to which I would appreciate it. I hoped for something worthwhile coming from an indie darling like writer-director Alex Ross Perry, but his latest effort, Her Smell, is a harrowing but spectacularly moving tale that deglamorizes the rock and roll lifestyle in favor of family values. That may not seem like the obvious message coming from an R-rated edgy drama with cursing and depictions of illegal drug abuse, but the amazing direction, original music, and Elizabeth Moss's outstanding performance, quite possibly the year's best so far, add up to an artful, soulful drama that was surprising in its emotional power. Her Smell would have been my favorite film of the year thus far, were it not for the next and final entry on this list. I'm not really sure what else I can add to the conversation for Endgame at this point, so I'll simply say this. Despite issues in the script, the fact that a movie which culminated over 20 other films turned out this well is an astonishing achievement. A million things could have gone wrong in tying together the previous MCU films in this one, but for what it's worth, I was extremely satisfied by what the Russos and company did to make Endgame feel seamless and engaging despite a 3-hour runtime. Having now seen it twice, I can sincerely say that warts and all, Endgame is becoming one of my all-time favorite superhero films, and easily wins the title of Movie of the Month for April 2019. Thanks again for watching, guys. Look forward to some more content pretty soon, including a review of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, so that's going to be a lot of fun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Also check out my Facebook, Letterboxd, and Instagram pages for more content. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Have a good one.